Family, good morning. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Today is Tuesday. It is February 24th. I appreciate you guys rolling through for the morning show. Thank you so much. Get active inside the comment box. Let me know where you're watching from, listening from inside the comment box. Say good morning to each other. I appreciate you guys. If you were able to check out Wake Up Bama this morning, as we kind of went over the running backs. We've been doing positional previews. We did running backs. Tomorrow, I'm either going to do tight ends or wide receivers. Kind of just, maybe we'll flip a coin on that. And, of course, offensive line. And we'll kind of work our way through the offense, and then we'll do the same thing with the defense. And I'm thinking that it should give us maybe like 3 or 4 days away from spring football practice. But before we're kind of wrapped up, which should give us kind of some big questions going into spring football. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I saw you guys already talking about Bediako. Saw that his appeal was rejected. Will that be the end of Bediako? I think it might be, unless something kind of goes through the Supreme Court. It's been a wild story, and kind of before I get to my opening, which was, do you expect Alabama to contend for a national title on the football front? I think that, I look to this Bediako deal, and I honestly do feel that the team is playing better right now, kind of without the distraction of Bediako. And I think kind of when you start to waver on different things, right, you bring him back. I don't know, maybe does that throw off the rhythm of the team right now? Because you know what? They've won their last 7 out of 8 games in the SEC. They're tied for second in the SEC. I'm a big basketball fan. We'll do the watch along tomorrow night as Alabama takes on Mississippi State. And I think if you bring him back, I don't know. It kind of adds a different element to the team. And I like him. I like his game, and I hope things do work out for him, of course, as a person. But right now, what Alabama has, I think we got something good. And I think Aiden Sherrill has kind of picked up those pieces. He's been playing big, in the last couple of games, having, 2 games consecutively with double-doubles. He's been playing a little bit tougher inside the paint, and Alabama's been having a little bit more points inside the paint. And when you're shooting like Alabama shoots in the second half, they can beat a lot of teams. So I don't think that this team, in a different circumstance, maybe it would have worked out with Bediako, but I think it's kind of just time to move past all that and kind of focus on just the team. And they got elite guard play, and if, you have some bigs that can come with it, all good for it. Now, the only problem is with the basketball team is they're kind of made of glass. A lot of these guys get banged up. And, knock on wood here, but if, like, Sherrill was to go down or be out for a couple games, it gets really dicey because Noah Williamson, there's a huge talent gap between those two guys, right? And Bo Bolin, he's not a banger, right? Who's the next guy? Yeah, after Sherrill, I'm dead serious. What would you do if Sherrill's out and you had Noah Williamson? Like, are those the bigs? You know what I'm saying? Kind of scary to think about. But with that said, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll do some shout-outs in a minute. I appreciate you guys being active. And today, as you know, is Taco Tuesday. All right? So let me know your favorite place to get tacos. We always talk tacos on Tuesday. I'm already hungry. So I'm not afraid to talk about it, right? To taco about it. All right. All right. So I was asking, I don't even know how I came up with this question. It's kind of silly to be talking about this in February, but just kind of checking the pulse, right? Do you expect Alabama football to win a national title this year? That's kind of the question. Do you expect Alabama to contend for a national title? Contend for a national title this year. And I was reading, and I asked this on the Facebook channel, and I got a ton of responses, right? And I think the most liked comment was, this is Alabama. We expect to contend for a national championship every year. I expected to see somebody post that. And I agree. And that's what puts so much pressure on everybody that's going into 2026, from the coaching staff to the players to all the personnel operations, because those are the standards here. And there's a lot of other places in the country where that's not the case. And you're like, well, isn't it the case that everybody should want to expect to contend for a national title? Yeah, in fairy tale land, right? Like, think about it. I mean, think about covering like Kentucky, who's got the biggest, like, KSR radio is like as big as ESPN, right? Every year they go into this season thinking that they're not thinking they're going to contend for a national title. Come on, right? Think about like a team like Purdue, right? And I'm talking like football. Think about a team like, I don't know, you can go around like Louisville, right? Like, I don't know why I'm picking on Kentucky so much this morning, but I'm just saying, like, point being, there's a lot of programs out there. They just know that this is not realistic in the sense of, putting together something to contend for a national title. But I think with Alabama, it's like, this is Alabama, and fans are never going to be satisfied unless there is a national championship here, or unless you're contending for a national championship. And I think that's where it gets interesting, is like, what does contend mean? Does contend mean make it to the championship? Does it mean win the championship? Does it mean kind of be in that arena of like the top, 8, top 4 does that mean contend? I don't know. To me, I think if you're like, what does contend mean? I'm saying a legitimate shot to set yourself up for, success, to maybe play in the championship game or win the championship. So I'm like a Final Four appearance. To me, that's like contend. So do I expect Alabama to contend for a national title this year, like get into the top 4? Well, that would be a step forward from last year to this year. And I think a lot of it depends on how the offense does its share, not the defense. The defense is going to be able to carry you wherever you need to go. It's just going to, the contend part is going to come down to the offensive growth under year 2 of Ryan Grubb and our new quarterback and our new offensive line, right? Because we got skill guys. That's not an issue. But do we have the offensive line, and do we have the commitment to running the ball in running situations and kind of, having a more balanced approach that can get Alabama there? Because does anybody inside the comment box think that the defense is going to be an issue? Like, I think I'd be like, yo, if we get, I don't know, to the third section of the season and the defense is the issue, I'm going to be like shocked. Because the 2 deep, even the 3 deep on defense, you have so many guys. There's not a lot to be worried about with the defense. I think there's plenty of reasons to be super optimistic that the secondary is even going to be better than they were last year. All the questions are on the offensive side. And the offensive side, if they put it together, then you have a real chance to contend for a national title. But I was just kind of thinking about that. I was like, what do fans think? And I think fans deep down feel that Alabama should always kind of be in that arena. But I think fans are also realistic to understand kind of where we're at in college football. And what I mean by that is kind of the NIL, the pay for play, how the teams with the most money are paying for this ridiculous amount of money. But what's going to be interesting is to see all those teams that spent so much in the transfer portal, like buying a team, to see if those teams can really contend as well for a title. Like Texas, like LSU, like Ole Miss. Are those teams really going to contend for a title this year? Who has a better chance, family? And I know you haven't seen their entire roster, but just kind of off the top of your head, who has a better chance to contend for a national title this coming season? I know it's February, but LSU or Alabama? Right? I don't really know LSU's roster. I know their new coach. I've kind of looked over their roster a little bit. I know Alabama's. I'd probably say that Alabama is in a better situation than LSU is. But LSU has, they're going to have a ton of hype because of who their head football coach is. They got in, transfers. But I think I'd say Alabama. Now, let me ask you another one. How about Alabama versus Ole Miss, right? And I guess we have to figure out what's going to really eventually happen with Trinidad, because I think for right now, they're going to allow him to play until, maybe something changes. I might say Alabama again against Ole Miss. Now, those are going to be some upper echelon teams from the SEC. Georgia, right? You got to think they're going to be there again. So what I'm saying is, I think like my main question is, do you expect Alabama to contend? I think, at least in my opinion, contend means Final Four, kind of dipping around that element. But I would say Alabama has a better roster, I would say, than LSU, than Ole Miss. And I think overall they have more of a foundation within going into these 2 years than those two programs do. And here's my prediction, okay? Here's my prediction. And I know this might piss off, like if this was a national show, I think this would piss off LSU and I think this would piss off Ole Miss. But here's the truth, okay? Clip it if you want. This is exactly how I feel. I think the difference with those particular programs, and I'm talking about LSU and I'm talking about Ole Miss specifically, I think the character of the coach at the top will greatly affect and impact the team because we have one particular coach, and that's Lane Kiffin, who everything is about Lane Kiffin. Okay? And he spends a lot of time on social media building up himself. He's incredible on social media. But I think a lot of it is on him and about him. And I think he's a me person. And that works for a lot of people. And I think he totally does an amazing job impersonating Nick Saban. But he's not Nick Saban. Okay? He's really not. He acts like him and he can talk like him. And he does an amazing job impersonating him. We're going to do this. And when he does his interviews on Monday, he does the monotone one, just like Saban did. So he pretends to be like Saban, but he's not, okay? He hasn't proven that he can win really big games. And until he does that on a consistent basis, I'm going to feel that way about him, okay? And I think with Pete Golding, I think that he also has character flaws, and you saw, kind of some of that with the Dabo Swinney. But outside of that, I think that, he kind of fell backwards into a gold honeypot, landing, as the head football coach at Ole Miss. But I think that his character flaws eventually are going to derail Ole Miss. And that's why I don't think that, like, those two programs, even though they have endless money and they've done a lot in the transfer portal and they're getting a lot of notoriety, I still think Kalen DeBoer, you look at kind of who he is, and yeah, you might be thinking soft serve ice cream, but he's not a me person. He's a team person. Would you agree with that? I haven't seen any type of ego from this man. So I like that situation here. Kirby Smart, I think, is different. Kirby Smart is proven. I think Kirby Smart has a really good way of, seeing kind of the forest from the trees. I think he's a damn good football coach. Everything, has stayed really consistent with his program over the last couple of years. He's not dramatic. Now, he has off-the-field issues with his players, and I don't understand why that happens. There's like every single month, there's a player like arrested for speeding or whatever that is. Every program has kind of some of that. He seems to have more of that. But I think overall, Kirby Smart is a guy who is super rational and very respectable. And I don't think that he's out there on social media or in the public, kind of talking about this guy. I think he does a great job staying in his lane. And that is what successful men do, is they stay in their own lane. They do, period. I think one of the great things about some of the top coaches is they got blinders on. They're focused on their team because that's the only place that you can control. They're not worried about the outside elements. They're not retweeting different things. They're not here. They're not there. They're focused on their own lane because they got a lot of stuff on their plate, and they know that they can only control, practice and kind of how that practice leads to performance. So I think when I kind of look around at some of these teams that have bought rosters, that have added players, that there's been, some different elements, I think those will be kind of some of their downfalls. I think when you talk about a guy like, what's up, Matthew? Good to see you, bro. I really appreciate you being here. I think a guy like Mike Elko, he's done a really good job in these first two seasons. Now, this last season, I'll be quite frank, and this will probably make Texas A&M fans mad. I think he's done a good job, but I think last year's schedule was smoke and mirrors. They played absolutely the bottom half of the SEC teams. I think they were more of a pretender than a contender. I do feel that they will be a good football team once again. How could they not? Their wide receiver game is going to be really good. Their quarterback should be great. Don't know too much about their defense just yet. But Elko's in a really good position. And I think with Texas A&M, they're going to love Elko because look at the past coaches. Over here, I think Alabama has a hard time continuing to grasp on to Kalen DeBoer, and they will forever because of the last coach, right? Now, the only coach that and I think Alabama fans will be able to embrace kind of going forward is, unfortunately, kind of the coach after Kalen DeBoer, whenever that is or if that ever happens, because they'll be comparing everything to Coach Kalen DeBoer instead of the past coach, right? And that's just how it is. It's just that's just how I feel about it, right? Is there any coach that you want me to tell you the truth about? Let me know inside the comment box. That's the truth. You want me to talk about Steve Sarkisian? I think Steve Sarkisian is a coach that I do respect. I think that Texas has invested in so much money into Texas to try to get, the product that they kind of envision. There is no program in college football that is more hopeful and that anticipates a national championship more than Texas. But here's the problem. You got to make the playoffs, okay? And, they didn't do that. And when I think, like, Texas fans, how they feel about Steve Sarkisian, make the playoffs last year with Arch Manning. And I do feel that towards the back end of the season, he had them better on track, and I think he should have one hell of a football team this year. But can he get it done? Will he get it done? Now, I do like the Steve Sarkisian story because I am about people who do rebuild themselves and who make the most out of opportunities. And I think he took the opportunity and ran with it at Texas. But that story, if they don't win a championship this year, if they don't make the playoffs this year, I foresee Sarkisian going to the NFL and kind of telling college football, like, yo, it's been real. I'm going back to the NFL. So that's how I feel about some of those coaches. And I think he's a great coach. I really do. I couldn't tell you why they haven't won a national championship, whatever. I think sometimes their expectations are a little bit too high, even for Texas. But they got a roster that should do it. And that's a lot of pressure on Steve Sarkisian. You got to get it done this year because you have all the money. You have everything that you've ever wanted. You have your golden quarterback, right? But is he really golden? I don't know. He kind of looks more silverish, more bronze to me. All right, fam. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And that's kind of my opening. It's kind of, do you expect Alabama to contend for a national title? And then we kind of segued about talking about other SEC teams and other SEC coaches. And, to contend for a national title, that's kind of like top four for me. Can Alabama really punch through this year? Man, I think they have components on defense. Just the biggest question is on offense. So let's see who's before I do that, here's some odds. I'll go full screen. I think I scooped this from FanDuel this morning. So this is crazy. Notre Dame plus 650, right? And I grabbed this morning. You have Ohio State plus 700. That makes sense, right? Texas. See, there you go. I didn't even look at these before I jumped on. Indiana, once again. Oregon, they play absolutely nobody this coming season. And Indiana's schedule, once again, is really easy in my opinion. Georgia, 1,000. Texas Tech, Miami, LSU, Texas A&M, and then, dang, man. You know what? Look, I don't like to tell you what to do, but if you're out there and you got 2,700 on Bama, plus 2,700, it's gonna be hard to get odds like that on teams, that have a real contending ability. You know what I'm saying? So Matthew Newton, have a good rest of your day, brother. See you later, man. Catch you on the rewatch. Notre Dame, well, yeah. I think to make the playoffs, yeah. They play nobody. And that's why, you saw Alabama, they just added Georgia State or whoever to the schedule. Well, duh. That's exactly what you have to do. You have to drop Ohio State. You have to drop anybody with a heartbeat, and you have to start playing these teams that have states and techs and, A&Ms or whatever, kind of added on to them so you can make the playoffs. But if you're playing like these type of teams right here, it doesn't necessarily. The thing that really stresses me out is it doesn't necessarily hurt these teams to play Bama. It hurts Bama to play these guys because Bama, if they don't win a game like this, they're not Bama anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but if these teams beat Bama, they're like, oh my God, they beat Bama, right? So it's like, I don't know. That's why I think Alabama just dips on everybody, plays the SEC. What Alabama should really do, this will never happen unless Greg, I have no idea how this happens, but what would be remarkable is if Bama just left the SEC and just told everybody peace. They played Auburn on the back end schedule, kept the Tennessee game. Those are your two games that you have, that kind of have the heartbeat. And then you load up with other teams that are beatable. You still have your 7 home games. And, you kind of do your rotation with Tennessee and Auburn. But you're independent, and you can get a huge TV contract with somebody. Come on, it's Alabama. You know what? They keep flexing on all these TV ratings for Alabama. I don't know why Alabama just doesn't bail and get its own TV contract. Right? Come on. Now, aren't the Braves doing that? Bama just runs out, gets their own network, does you could get a huge, I guarantee you could get a huge deal with like CBS or NBC. Played right after Notre Dame. Notre Dame versus Eastern Carolina, followed by Alabama taking on Alabama A&M. There you go. Bam. Right? That's the way, because then if you played Notre Dame's schedule, ridiculous. Right? But anyways, plus 2,700 for Alabama. That's crazy. We got a couple super chats that I'll throw up on the screen. Marcus, what's up, bro? I appreciate you being here, man. Marcus has been here for a long time. He's got a lot of weight on the show, so I like what he has to say. Respectfully, in my opinion, Coach Kiffin has done more at Ole Miss than Sark has done at Texas. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not mad at that. Ole Miss isn't a big brand like Texas, but Kiffin, you know what? I would say, and I always said this, I felt that Lane Kiffin outgrew Ole Miss, kind of the brand. The brand of Ole Miss it can only go so far, right? Like the brand at LSU can go as far as it needs to go. But for whatever reason, I kind of felt the same. Like he did more over there. He took them where they kind of shouldn't be. Watching them play at the back end last year, that was a damn good football team. Damn good. Trinidad Chambers, the things he was doing, I haven't seen a quarterback do that in a long time, bro. So I agree with you right here, man. Mattress Matt, what's up, brother? Their lips honor me, but their hearts are distant. Thank you, man. I appreciate the daily supers to the show. I appreciate it, man. Mattress Matt became kind of like a spiritual warrior as well. So sometimes he even likes to pipe stuff in. So we appreciate you, Mattress Matt. Thank you so much. And then, wow, my goodness, what we're gonna load up on tacos today. Army 3275 says, keep up the good work, bro. Give us a status update, Army. How you doing, bro? I know you've been battling out there, and your story is really remarkable. So I always am inspired by you. And I know you just recently took a vacation, right? I think you did, and I hope you're well, and thank you so much for the super chat, bro. I appreciate it, and I got you in the raffle for Friday as well. Thank you so much. What's up, Michael Coleman? Good to see you, man. Good morning, Kyle. Roll Tide, roll Bama will be fine, but being independent, you know what I'm saying? It's interesting to think about, right? It'll never happen, but going independent, could you imagine that type of schedule? Because they would be so dominant against all these teams, and that's the pathway to the playoffs. That's how to get in. Going through, what do we have to play? 9 SEC teams now? That is not the route to get into the playoffs. That is the route to get into the NFL playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, 9 SEC games? No, thank you. That's hard. And I show you schedules all the time. And Big Ten fans get mad at me. And they start talking. They're like, yo, Bama, Indiana beat up on Bama. That's true. 100%. It's true. Michigan beat up on Bama the last 2 times they played. That's true. I'm not denying that. But what I'm talking about is your schedule overall compared to SEC schedule. We don't have no Northwesterns. We don't got no Purdue's. You know what I'm saying? we don't got a Maryland, right? We don't got those teams over here. Those teams are, would be easy W's over here. Now, I get it. Alabama's front end schedule, it looks, manageable. But top to bottom, 1,000,000%, I'm going to die on this hill, the SEC is better than the Big Ten. Like all the teams side by side, you got better teams in the SEC. You just do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel, kind of about that. But I totally understand it. It's like Indiana, yeah, what they did last year was dangerous. But how healthy were they compared to Bama? I mean, was it because that they didn't play the gauntlet of a schedule that Alabama did? I think so. Look at all the stuff that Ty Simpson had to survive, right? Man, this dude had gastritis. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got bronchitis. Remember that? What was that YouTube thing? Ain't nobody got time for that. Army 3275 with another super? Man, tacos for the family. Thank you, brother. Man, I appreciate you, dog. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody that's rolling through. I always appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's see. Let me just kind of bring this up. Like, let's look at the Big Ten real quick before I go to another thing. All right, so the Big Ten for football. Okay, it's already bringing out. It's talking basketball. They got good teams in basketball. I'm talking football. Okay, just top to bottom. Okay, look. All right. Okay. I mean, look. Is Indiana? Was Indiana? Yeah, Indiana was unbelievable. Right. Ohio State, very good. Okay. Oregon, good. Michigan, USC, Iowa, not good. Illinois, not good. Minnesota, not good. Washington, not good. Nebraska, not good. Northwestern, not good. Penn State, not good. UCLA, terrible. Rutgers, terrible. Wisconsin, terrible. Maryland, terrible. Michigan State, terrible. Purdue, terrible. You see what I'm saying? Look how many teams are bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams, bro. And come on, USC. I don't think they were good. They got good players, but I don't think I think their coach underperforms. And I have to address my boy Jarvis inside the comment box. Yeah, we touched on that a little bit in the beginning of the show. It looks like Judge Pruitt has kind of shut that down, but I think the only way that he can go through now is the Supreme Court. So I said in the opening, Jarvis, I was like, bro, I think they should just let this go. I think that they're a better team right now without him. I think if he kind of comes back, not only does Alabama get negative notoriety, they become the villain. It's just not a good look, right? Sherrell's playing great. Now I get it; they don't have another big, and if Sherrell has a ingrown toenail or something like that, they're in trouble. But I think, man, he's just like, yo, we love you, get your degree, we support you. And that's just it. I don't know. But you guys get what I'm saying about the Big Ten? Am I off base here? If I am, just let me know. I just think, like, kind of looking at the Big Ten, I'm just like, meh. All right. Someone's saying avocados from Mexico. Avocados from Mexico. Yo, what's going down in Mexico is crazy, right? We have some crazy world events. It's crazy. That's why I like to kind of just stay in my lane and like focus on my little show that we got here, man. I just, man, because there's a lot of people that have family over there that were like vacationing and stuff like that. Just absolutely crazy. I've seen what you've seen. Let's see who's on the show today. We got Max. Max, good morning, bro. Thank you so much for being here. Bruce, what's up? Hey, Larry, dude. Larry Large, bro. What's up, man? Good to see you. Rex, what's up, man? Thank you so much for being here, coming to us from Huntsville. Matthew had to dip out, but I appreciate you being here, Matthew. Miss Nicole Covington, good to see you. Good morning. We have Bama Boy, what's up? We have Bruce Watson. Thank you so much for joining the program as well. Tonette, turn up. Good morning, Tonette. How you doing? Todd, love when Todd's on the show. Thank you, Todd, for being here, man. Good to see you. We got Short Game. What's up, Short Game? When are we going to get on the links, man? Where are we going to play? Where you at, Short Game? Let me know, man. We'll get it on. We'll have to schedule a tea time. Josh, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Leroy, good to see you. Hope you're off to a really good start. Yo, Kaylin Childress. Low key, one of my favorite, like, on the show, doesn't post too much, but I like the name, and I like the vibe. So thank you for being here. Alabama Paul, what's up, man? Thank you for rolling through as well. We got Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith, what's up, dude? Good to see you, bro. Let's see. What's up, Kyle? Bama Nation. I think we can. Oh, he's talking about earlier on the program when I was talking about kind of contending for a national championship. I was thinking about that. I was like, how you guys feeling about that? And we had kind of a segue that kind of morphed into a couple things. Cody, what's up, bro? Thank you so much for coming with it, man. But I'll definitely take your call tomorrow on the calls. I kind of tapered back the calls just a little bit as we kind of been, getting through the back end of February. So we'll fire those back up. We have Owen. What's going on, man? We have Will Highnote. Will Highnote's a really strong supporter of the program, and he's in there with the avocados from Mexico. And my boy Jarvis, appreciate you, man, always being here. You're like a rock, bro. You're steady as a rock. We have Jackson. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you so much. And we have somebody who's listening and driving. Who is that? Okay, Short Game. All right. Well, you let me know, Short Game, when you pull over or whatever, bro. Where are we gonna play at? And we'll test that Short Game out. All right. So thank you so much, fam, for kicking it with me this morning right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We have the NFL Combine workouts. So keep your heads on a swivel. I'll read the dates out, and this is something to kind of keep track on throughout this week. But later on in the week, you'll actually see the guys perform on the field Thursday through Sunday. Okay, how crazy is this? Sunday is already going to be March, right? I told you, February, you sneeze and the month's over, right? They might as well just make January, because January is a long month. January is a year. You know what I'm saying? January really is. They should just make January 45 days, and March is a long month too. And kind of just February, I don't know. Because February, like, what are we, So here we are almost in March, and we have the NFL Combine. So on February 26th, I'll read this out. This is kind of on-the-field workouts. And the NFL Combine starts yesterday and into today, and they're doing, like, on-the-field evaluations. They're meeting with GMs, and they're doing interviews. They're doing medical tests, a ton of stuff. But Thursday through Sunday is when we'll see the guys on the field, right? I believe it's streaming on the NFL Network. So we'll see how we're, see where we're at and see if we can watch some of that sort of stuff and bring coverage here. So Thursday, February 26th, you got Justin Jefferson, linebacker, Tim Keenan, Deontay Lawson, and LT Overton. Yo, that should be a great day to watch these guys on the field. I would imagine out of those guys, Justin Jefferson should be fantastic in terms of, his mobility, what he can do. Deontay Lawson, of course, going to be watching him. All those guys played a great role on Alabama's defense. I don't think any of those guys are first-round draft picks per se, but I think they are great additions to any organization. I mean, especially a guy like Deontay Lawson. I think Deontay Lawson, I don't know where he's at, if he's like a day 2 or if he's like a round 3 guy. But Deontay Lawson, depending on, where he's at after suffering that knee injury, and if he's, he seemed to get better and better and better towards the back end of the season. So hoping for a big showing from Deontay Lawson. Friday, February 27th, you have Damani Jackson and Josh Cuevas. The thing with Damani Jackson, I wouldn't mind if the 49ers got Damani Jackson. And I kind of feel like he left and people didn't really like him from here. He was better here than he was at USC. I don't really think Damani Jackson was terrible. Now I'm not going to say he was elite, and I get it. We move on and we'll be better, this coming season without him. But I don't know. I have a hard time saying that Damani was like trash. I saw him come up with some big hits. He'd definitely hit you. He'd go up and down. I guess he was inconsistent, but I didn't feel like he was like terrible. Josh Cuevas, I'm curious to see where he ends up. I think he's got a future on him. And in the NFL, they love tight ends. If you're a tight end in the NFL, you are going to get used. I think tight ends are used brilliant in the NFL compared to college football. In the NFL, if you have a tight end, man, that can make plays, there are so many dynamic tight ends in the NFL. It is absolutely crazy, right? Saturday, the 28th, you got Jeremy Bernard. Man, I'd like, Jeremy Bernard. He already felt like an NFL player, right? You know where Jeremy Bernard could thrive, I think? Jeremy Bernard could thrive with like Washington, right? I think, could you imagine him with Jaden Daniels? Jeremy Bernard would catch like 50 balls instantly, right? I think if Jeremy Bernard ends up in a pass-heavy team and he can, kind of get in as a third, fourth type wide receiver, Jeremy Bernard is going to play. 100%. Jam Miller, this is an interesting one. It's hard for running backs because running backs are kind of a dime a dozen, right? I don't know where Jam goes. It kind of gets me excited just kind of thinking about the possibilities of some of these guys and where they end up because I love the NFL. I've grown to like the NFL more and more over the last like 3 seasons, And then Ty Simpson, he's going to finally throw, and we'll see him throw. And I think from what I saw online, he's now at 215 pounds. And I guess against Indiana, he was down to, I think he was down to 190 pounds against Indiana. Oh my goodness. You can't, that's super light. So back up to 215. It's going to be great to see kind of some of the weight that he's added and some of the muscle. And one of the things that I'm curious about Ty Simpson, is what does his deep ball look like? He's going to look. Ty Simpson's a great character person. He's going to wow GMs, coaches, and deep ball he'll do fine because it's against air. I think that's kind of the only thing. But I would say I would like to see Ty Simpson. I don't know if he's going to run the 40. I'm just curious to see what he runs because one of the underrated the underrated factors about Ty Simpson, even still now, is his running ability. I don't know if people like his legs work. That was the quote from Saban. But I don't think he really ever used his legs as much as I thought. I thought he would run more last year. I did. I thought he'd like pick up a first down here or make a man miss or like speed off on kind of a, 25-yard explosive. He didn't really play. He didn't really showcase that. And then on Sunday, March 1st, you have Parker Brailsford, Caden Proctor, and then Jaden Roberts. Jaden Roberts is an interesting one because, man, that guy certainly passes the eyeball test, but what the hell happened? Why didn't that guy, what, was he injured? How come, did he have gastritis? What happened? Why didn't he play? That was one of like the most shocking things for me covering the team last year is like what happened, like the curious, I'm going to like that, the behind the scenes story. Whenever someone like talks about that, right? I'm still waiting for it. This is the real reason that Jaden Roberts didn't play. Coming up next. Seriously, what happened? Because that guy, I was like, oh man, this dude's going to be an All-American, all this sort of stuff. The Hulk. Nothing. I don't know. No idea. Caden Proctor, I'm sure he'll have a great showing, and then Parker Brailsford, guy was steady. But in terms of first round guys, right? First round picks, it seems that these are our best opportunities to have continued first round picks go into the NFL draft. And you start with Ty Simpson going number 21 to the Steelers. This is from Mel Kiper recently. So I'm not mad at this. I'm really not. I think that if Ty Simpson goes to the Steelers, I like it. I think Ty Simpson, this is my assessment, okay? Um, I feel that I don't know if he is I don't think he's a day one starter. And that's not a knock on him. I think that Ty Simpson goes somewhere. Oh, man, I don't know how I feel about the Steelers defense. I want Ty to go somewhere. It's not bad. It's not a bad landing spot. I mean, how long is Aaron Rodgers going to play for? Probably not much longer, right? Probably like what, 6 more seasons? Just kidding. And then I guess, I mean, you look at kind of their depth chart. You got Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, right? So Ty Simpson could theoretically be like second or third string at Pittsburgh. I don't know. I'm not mad about that. He's got a couple weapons, right? Calvin Austin's pretty good. DK Metcalf's got a couple more years. Who's a running back? I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at that. I don't want Ty to go to the Jets. I've already told you why. I just that's terrifying. Now, number 27, Caden Proctor, going to the 49ers. I'm not mad at that. Look, I cover the 49ers. That's my team. So I don't know. Do you think there's any way, shape, or form? And I think Ty Simpson, they have him as the number 2 quarterback off the board. It's like Fernando Mendoza going number 1 to the Raiders. Where's From? From, are you here? How are you feeling about Fernando? And then I saw the number 2 pick was the Jets taking Caleb Downs, right? Which I think that would be great for the Jets. I know, especially for quarterbacks, bro. You do not want to go to the Jets. I think, though, with Ty Simpson, if he goes somewhere kind of later and he's built around a good defense and he can be a backup, then Ty Simpson will flourish. And I think he'll have a good career. But I don't think he's ready right now. Like, I don't want him to go to the Jets and have to be like the guy. It would be terrible. It'd be terrible. It'd be worse than what happened with Bryce Young going to Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bryce was dealt some crazy cards. And Bryce has battled. By the end of the year, the Carolina Panthers are pretty good. They need a couple more guys. Right? I don't know if they're ever going to be like a Super Bowl type team, but they were good. They had some guys for sure. That one, who's the wide receiver that they added? And they got some running backs. They're not bad. But the Jets, no. Browns, no. All right. Okay. Today's podcast, Wake Up Bama, was about the running backs. And as I kind of get to this portion of the show, and you talk about the running back room, there's so many storylines. I mean, it's a great room to talk about, right? But before I do that, let me go over a couple things. Number one, this is the raffle that we got going on this week. Okay, so it's the Bama Football YouTube hoodie. All right, I love this look. Up to 3 opportunities. Bama _YouTube. Cash at Bama YouTube. And, of course, Super Chats also go into the raffle. And we'll spin it on Friday at 10:45. Okay? So this is a nice, clean hoodie. Bama Football YouTube. I like everything about this hoodie. And, so that is the raffle for this week. Okay? Also, video powered by, of course, you all. And also Sleeper, right? And when you use the promo code, which is Tailgate, download the app, get $20 upon just downloading the app. Great for fantasy football, right? You got to set up your leagues, right? And another great feature that they have added is kind of the team, picks. So you can look at the teams on the board. I'll have an updated graphic for Alabama and Mississippi State tomorrow for tomorrow's show, but it gives you some good analytic points, and it's another way to add to your kind of daily fantasy, right? Past results are not, indicative of future results, so note that. And then available in 25 states. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, so those are our friends at Sleeper. Yeah. So Marcus. So you're in. If you super chatted today, you are in the raffle for Friday, right? And that is a dope hoodie. I think that might be my favorite hoodie that we got so far, right? And it's kind of got what I wanted on kind of on the branding is I wanted like a crest, right? And so came up with that idea for like the crest Bama, and that'll be like our logo. So I got that on like hats, and I think it's a good look with like that crest look, right? So when you look at the running backs, there's so many storylines, and I'll recut the running back video in case you missed it this morning, because I go over everything in detail. And I could talk about the running backs for days. And I'm going to go over the running backs, and then I'm going to provide some observations. And then I'm going to recut kind of the entirety of my morning podcast where I just talked about the running backs in case you missed it, and I'll play that later. But leading off, you have some new names added to the room, and you have some names coming back, right? Khalifa Keith is the newest name, and he came over from Tennessee and App State, where he has limited volume. I mean, he just didn't play a lot, right? But I think one of the things that I noticed, and I go over in the podcast, is they got two of the same running backs, right? Like Khalifa Keith is kind of an insurance for Daniel Hill, right? It's a long season. You need a big body running back. You just can't go into the season with just one big body running back. So you got these two, right? And I don't know. I mean, maybe he has kind of a little breakout season. He's an in-state guy, talking about Khalifa Keith. Maybe they utilize him on some short yardage stuff. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they go a heavy package with him and Daniel Hill on the field at the same time. I don't know. I think Kevin Riley and Trayshawn Brown are kind of the same, right? Kind of under that 200-pound mark, really fast. I consider those type of guys like scat backs. And then I think A.K. Deer and Xavier Crowell are kind of one and the same, right? Kind of that 210-pound all-purpose type running back. So I like the room. And I didn't understand at first why Alabama needed another running back. But when they added Khalifa Keith, it made a lot more sense to me. I'm not mad at it. You didn't need a guy like Hollywood Smothers. You didn't need a guy like Malik Frazier or whoever to come into this room, because you already got guys like that, okay? And I think, when you're looking at kind of like observations about this running back room, I think you can, go over a lot of different points. But I do not feel that there's going to be a featured back this year, right? I just don't. I think if anybody could, it could be Daniel Hill, but I don't. I think you have enough running backs out there to have kind of a 1-2 combo punch, right? And I think that 1-2 combo punch, and I've kind of been putting this in my mind early on, and I don't know if this is going to happen. I mean, we're not even in spring football, but it would make sense to me, and I could totally understand why, and I think it would be a deadly combo of having A.K. Deer and Daniel Hill side by side in a two running back formation, or kind of getting those guys kind of, rotated in and out. I think that'd be one hell of a combo. All right, you got your bigger back. A.K. Deer is not a small man. He's got the speed. Having to deal with those guys, and if you ran the ball, I don't know, let's say 25 times at least with those two guys, man, shoot. That could be a tough combo to have to deal with. And I guess my third point right here is it doesn't seem like a lot of people are talking about Kevin Riley. And I understand. It's like, he doesn't. I mean, he had a little bit of volume last year. And actually, at the beginning of the season, man, he was like one of our breakout guys. And then they went away from him, and then he got banged up. But I don't want to forget about Kevin Riley. And I think that we should be talking about him, and I think we should be excited about him. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of burst, right? So I'm still a fan of Kevin Riley, and I know you guys are too. It's just we're excited. We like to celebrate new guys coming in, or the possibilities about a 245-pound running back. Like, yes, please, right? And of course, A.K. Deer. You look at A.K. Deer and you kind of think like, what's the ceiling of him? We don't know. We barely, and that's kind of something that's also puzzling when I think about kind of last year. Was I'm like, man, why didn't A.K. Deer play more? And I think an explanation that people have come up with, they're like, yo, well, Kyle, it was kind of some pass protection type stuff, which I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But I don't know if coach ever came out and said that particularly. But it's like, what is the ceiling for AK Deer? AK Deer's good, like really good. And that's why I'm saying, like, Darren Jenkins, what's up, bro? Appreciate you. I don't think you needed a Smothers, because when you look at Smothers games, I'm like, man, what's really the difference between Kevin Riley and AK Deer and Smothers? The only difference is Smothers had opportunity, right? He played. But I'm like, okay, well, our guys just haven't played yet, but I think the ceiling is higher, especially for a guy like AK Deer, you know? And then I think we all know, and I think we're all anticipating and wondering, Patriot Life, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. About Xavier Crowell. And will this be a year that he booms, right? Like year one boom. And what does that mean? And I think we have to be careful about the type of expectations we put on anybody, but particularly like a freshman coming into a crowded room. And I don't want us to get into this area to where if he doesn't get, I don't know, 400 yards, we're like, oh man, he sucks. He's not ready. But we didn't necessarily do that with AK Deer. But let me ask you this. Does Xavier Crowell run for more than 400 yards this year? Yes or no? More or less 400 yards for Xavier Crowell. Man, that's a tough one. What you all think? More or less Xavier Crowell, 400 yards. Oh, I don't know. I'm probably going to say less right now. I'm curious to see what you guys say. I might let you guys override if you guys are all on the mark and saying over. Okay, so Larry Large is saying yeah. Okay, a lot of people are saying more. Okay, Jarvis though. Jarvis don't miss on this though. Less than 400, but more than 250. Okay. Hopefully. Hey BC, what's up, man? Good to see you. Ramajan is saying yes. Yeah, that's a tough question. I like I said, I'd probably say less right now. But Rex is asking who is Smothers like. I would say that Smothers is kind of like a in between like an AK Deer and Kevin Riley. Like a shifty back that, can do a lot of explosive things. But he's not a bigger back by any means. And who knows? Maybe he has a really good season, whatever. I didn't feel like from the jump that personality really fit here. All right. Oh, no way. So Patriot Life is saying that Jenny's doing. So Jenny Cackney is another one of our members. We've been very open about it. She's battling stage 4 breast cancer, and she came out. She tries to go. I'm not kidding you. Yo, like we have some Alabama fans that is like Alabama football is life. Alabama football is life to Jenny, okay? And she's out in Texas, and a couple years ago, she came out here for A-Day, and it was beautiful. We all met her, so we're going to continue to pray for Miss Jenny as she battles through. You know what? We have several people on here that are battling stage 4. That's just the truth. So we're hoping in Patriot Life, he's going to keep us posted on if Jenny can make it out for A-Day. So I'd appreciate that, Patriot Life. And let her know that we're thinking about her, or like send her this clip. This is at the 53-minute mark, Patriot Life. So we want to, hey, Jenny, we're praying for you. You're always in our thoughts and prayers, and you have a lot of support here, and we're going to keep you in our prayers. And what's God's plan is God's plan. But know that we care about you, we love you, and we hope that you can come out. And if you come out, we are going to shower you with so many gifts that you won't be able to fly home without purchasing another suitcase. I don't even know what we'll load you up with, but we want to take care of you. So definitely a fighter, and we're thinking about you, Jenny. So thanks for the update, Patriot Life. I know I told Patriot Life a long time ago, I was like, you know what, Patriot Life, I need you to play man coverage on Jenny, and I want updates. So thank you for the updates. We've always kind of had that, Patriot Life. I appreciate you, bro. Okay, the last thing on this board is, does everything all come down to the offensive line and Ryan Grubb. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I could talk about the running backs and I could tell you about them and we're excited. But like, if we don't have an offensive line and we don't commit to running the ball, all of this, we could erase all that other stuff, right? Oh, and I think as Alabama fans, we are hopeful because, look, we got to give DeBoer credit. Like, he was proactive in getting a new offensive line coach. Him and Grubb sat down and they're like, okay, what do we need to do? This offensive line coach, the offensive line was not physical enough. What do we got to do here? We got to make moves. Okay, we got to be proactive. Okay, boom. You get out, Kapilovic, and you go out and you bring Adrian Clem. He's got a lot of pressure on him because, as I continue to say, he's got to instantly make the offensive line better, and they got to be dominating. They got to figure out who, along with Michael Carroll, is capable to have, that ability. And then Grubb has to, and he's admitted, he wants to have a better year running the football. What does that mean? I think that means a commitment to the run. We're not asking for, 50 runs a game. We're asking for the running game to be a part of the offense, and we're asking when the running game is on to keep pounding the ball, right? You have a big run, keep it going. A running back's hot, keep it going. There's no need to go away from the run when the run is moving moving the chains. It's just not. So many times last year, it was the weirdest thing. I've never seen this in covering football. We would start a ground game, and then we just abandon it. It was the weirdest thing. We'd be like, man, we're starting to make some ground. We're controlling time of possession. And then we just abandoned it. It was weird. I didn't understand it. I never seen it before. So that's kind of where we're at. And hopeful that we can take steps forward with the running game. And it's a really interesting position to talk about just because the names that are in here and with what happened last year. And that was finishing 125 out of 135, which is just unacceptable. There's no way that we can get worse. We can't. We can't get worse. We can't go backwards. What are we going to do? Finish last in the country and running the ball? We can't. It has to be a year stepping forward, right? So, appreciate you guys for being on the show today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. It boosts me up, kind of lifts my spirit. I think, you know what, and this is just being kind of open, and I get it. It's February and stuff like that, but I also do kind of, because this is like what I do for my livelihood, and sometimes, and I know I shouldn't, but this is just being transparent with you. Sometimes I do, because I got my kids and I got here, and sometimes I tie my value as a person to the show, So it's like if I don't have people on, and I get it, it's February, so I kind of talk myself out, but I'm like, my worth is not completely tied to the number of viewers on the show. So I don't go into a bad space. You know what I'm saying? And that's just something that I am, working through because I know you guys are supporting me and I really appreciate it. And, I'm trying to show up and be consistent as much as I can. So thank you so much for continuing to, support me inside, the comment box and for being here on the video. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I will catch you guys as news happens. And on Wednesday night, we will do another watch along here. And I'm telling you, that watch along for the hockey game was so fun. It was great. It was really cool to do. I loved it. I think we might have to add the sound effects for the basketball game. I mean, it was great, right? We had the organ coming out, It felt like we were at the game. All right, family. Well, thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate you, dog. And Will High Note with the buzzer beater super chat, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Catch you guys on the rewatch. And as news happens, of course, and on the Facebook channel, and Wake Up Bama at 4 a.m. So, and all in between that, you know what I'm doing. I'm either cooking or driving kids around. All right? Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this beautiful Tuesday, February 24th, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Thanks for watching, family. See you next show.